Yeah, Bismillah, alhamdulillah. I welcome everyone to the first of, inshallah, many series to come in the MSA Presents Scientific Miracles in the Quran seminar series. Our speaker today is Dr. Manea Hussein al-Hazmi. He is the professor of horticulture, which is in the Department of Agriculture in Rensselaer University since 1996 in Yemen, and he's visiting us here in Troy. He's been here many times, and over the past, he has taught training courses at cultural centers on the Islamic fundamentals of faith, the Quran and modern science, misconceptions about Islam, and he's the author of many booklets, including misconceptions about Islam in the English language. And today he's giving a lecture on the first part of the scientific miracles of the Quran, the part regarding the universe and the cosmos.
Jazakallah khair. May Allah reward you. Thanks a lot. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, praise be to Allah, peace be upon the Prophet Muhammad and his family, his companions. It's my pleasure to be with you tonight to deal with a very important aspect related to Islam. My lecture for tonight is going to be about scientific miracles in the Quran. Scientific miracles in the Quran. I would like to start with introducing some information related to the Quran. The question is here, what is the Quran? Of course, you know that the Quran is the holy book in Islam. The Quran is the literal words of Allah. And when I say Allah, it means God. So I will use Allah instead of God from now until the end of my lecture. The Quran was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, during his prophethood for 23 years. So it was not revealed at once. It was revealed to deal with different aspects during the prophethood of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So it was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, through the angel Gabriel. And Gabriel was of the angels who had the responsibility for delivering, for conveying the verses of the Quran. Okay. Another thing related to the Quran. Of course, the Quran was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, as I said to you, in order to deal with different aspects related to all issues of Islam. Okay. So once the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, used to receive any verse or any verses, immediately after that, he will recite the verses to the companions, and he assigned some of the companions in order to write down the verses of the Quran as soon as they were revealed to him. And then after that, the Quran was transferred or transmitted everywhere in the most reliable ways. Allah the Almighty said in the Holy Quran, "Inna nahnu nazzalna dhikr wa inna lahu lahafidhun." Indeed, we have revealed the Quran, which is a dhikr, and we are going to be its guard. So it's protected by Allah, but with different means. So it was written down at the time of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So the Quran nowadays in our hands, it is as fresh as it was at the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace be upon him. Okay, and it's amazing. It's amazing for the Quran. How Allah enabled Muslims to preserve the Quran through their hearts. Therefore, you find nowadays thousands and thousands and thousands of Muslims memorize the Holy Quran without any single mistake by heart. Imagine 600, more than 600 pages of the Quran memorized by a human being. It's amazing. I'm not talking about Arabs who speak Arabic so that they can memorize the Quran easily. I'm talking about non-Arabs. Non-Arabs who do not speak Arabic and do not understand Arabic, yet they memorize the whole Quran, 600 pages, word by word, letter by letter. We're not talking about adult. We are talking about also kids, 5 years old, 7 years old, 10 years old, memorizing the whole Quran. It is an amazing, but it is the will of Allah who enabled these people, non-Arabs, young people, to memorize the whole Quran, a way to preserve the Quran, to be protected, to be fresh, so that no corruption at all in the Quran. Now, why did Allah reveal the Quran? Allah revealed the Quran for 3 purposes. The first purpose, to bring clear evidence for the what? For the existence and the greatness of Allah. So when you recite the Quran, you find many verses talking about Allah the Almighty, talking about His action, His names, His attributes, so that we can know Allah well, okay, and worship Him well. And also to bring a clear evidence for the prophethood of Muhammad, peace be upon him. This is another one. And also to be the guidance for all mankind. It's not for Arabs only. It's not for Asian or African or European. It's for all mankind. Therefore, Allah said in the Holy Quran, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. Indeed, we sent you not except as a mercy for all mankind. So this is the purpose of the Quran. Now we go down to what are the evidences for the truthfulness of the Quran? How can we know the Quran is what is authentic, is truthful? Do with different means. First of all, the Quran is unique. You cannot find any book, any literature like the Quran at all, because it is the words of Allah, and no one can speak like Allah at all. It's unique. Another thing, Allah challenge humanity to produce even one chapter like of the Quran. They could not. Allah the Almighty said in the Holy Quran, قُلْ لَإِنِ اجْتَمَعَتِ الْإِنسُ وَالْجِنُّ عَلَىٰ أَنْ يَأْتُوا بِمِثْلِ هَذَا الْقُرْآنِ لَنْ يَأْتُوا بِمِثْلِهِ وَلَوْ كَانَ بَعْضُهُمْ لِبَعْضٍ ظَهِيرًا. Say, O Muhammad, if mankind and jinns gathered in order to produce like the Quran, they would not be able to produce like the Quran, even if they were to each other helpers. No way at all. Why? Because it is the words of Allah. Another thing, the Quran is 100% authentic. The authenticity and integrity of the Quran are well preserved through the history. So no changes at all in the Quran. It is, as I told you, it is fresh as it was in the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace be upon him. And the last one related to the evidences for the truthfulness of the Quran, it is the thing that we are going to deal with it in my lecture tonight. It is the Quran explains scientific miracles 14 centuries ago. I'm not talking about a few hundred years ago. You are talking about 14 centuries, talking about 1,400 years from now, talking about scientific facts in the Quran. So you can say, okay, you are a believer, you are Muslim, and you can say Quran is unique. Quran is, no one can produce the Quran. It's 100% authentic. Okay, but you cannot argue with me that the Quran introduces scientific miracles 14 centuries ago, and you still argue that the Quran is not the words of Allah. Once you know that the scientific facts mentioned in the Quran, you submit immediately. You would say, this is the words, these are the words of Allah. Okay, so Allah the Almighty said in the Holy Quran, related to this subject, this is directed to us, either Muslims or non-Muslims. Allah the Almighty said in the Holy Quran, سنريهم آياتنا في الآفاق وفي أنفسهم حتى يتبين لهم أنه الحق أولم يكفي بربك أنه على كل شيء شهيد. Say, O Muhammad, we will show them our signs in the horizon and within themselves until it becomes to them that it is the truth. Isn't sufficient that your Lord is a witness over everything? So these signs, Allah brought these signs for us in the Quran in order to what? In order to believe. Okay. So in my lecture series, inshallah, by the will of Allah, here for my lecture, I will start with the Quran on the universe. The Quran on the universe. The Quran on the universe. Okay. Allah the Almighty told us in the Quran about the origin of the universe, how the universe is started. Allah said in the Holy Quran, أَوَلَمْ يَرَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا أَنَّ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ كَانَتَا رَتْقًا فَفَتَقْنَاهُمَا. Have not those who disbelieved known that the heavens and the earth were one connected entity, then we separated them. This is from the Quran, chapter 21, verse number 30. It deals with the origin of the universe. It tells us that the whole universe was one connected entity. One connected entity. And then they were separated. Who separated them? He who created them separated them. So this verse tells us about the origin of the universe. This is what the Quran said. This is what Allah said in the Quran. Now, let us go to what? To the recent findings of science. Recent findings of science. We are talking about what? The Big Bang Theory. You know about it. There were many, many theories related to the origin of the universe. They have tried to bring an explanation for the origin of the universe. But the Big Bang Theory was the best one to explain the start of the universe, the origin of the universe. What does the Big Bang Theory tell us about the origin of the universe? It says that the universe was a compressed elementary body with the size of almost zero. Then what happened after that? So they don't want to say that Allah created the universe from nothing. they would like to just start with things that comes to mind, that it was a compressed elementary body, almost like the size of zero, in order to contemplate, in order to digest it in mind. They don't want to say, okay, it was nothing, Allah created it. But they tried to explain the start of the universe. And this elementary body exploded, Big Bang. And the result was a cloud of smoke, a cloud of smoke. Okay. So it means that all bodies of universe, including the earth, were one connected entity, as the Quran stated. The Quran stated that they were one connected entity. Okay. Before the Big Bang theory, there was another theory. It was the constant theory. And the constant theory said the universe is constant. What does that mean, constant? It has no beginning. It has no end. It's constant. But that theory was invalid, and it is now part of the history. Okay, but the Big Bang theory is the one that explained the origin of the universe. Okay, okay, and this is a picture represent the Big Bang. Okay, and okay, now we move to another aspect related to the Quran. Another aspect: the universe was smoke. This is what the Quran tells us, that the universe was smoke. So after the Big Bang theory, after Allah separated them, or at the time of separation, the universe and the earth were, smoke. Smoke. Allah said in the Holy Quran, ثم استوى إلى السماء وهي دخان فقال لها وللأرض ائتيا طوعا أو كرها قالتا أتينا طائعين. This is from the Quran. The corresponding meaning of this verse: then he turned, Allah the Almighty, then he turned to the heaven when it was smoke, and said to it and to the earth, come both of you willingly or unwillingly. They both said, we come willingly. This is from the Quran, chapter 41, verse number 11. Okay. What does this verse tell us? It tells us that the universe, or the origin of the universe, was smoke. Was smoke. Okay. This is the Quran. Go to the science. The modern cosmology and the origin of the universe. The science of modern cosmology states clearly that the origin of the whole universe was what? Was a cloud of smoke. It was composed of what? Of hot gases and what? And particles. Hot gases and particles. And then they were separated in order to form galaxies, stars, planets, and other celestial bodies after that. Okay. Now I will bring you a picture from science. This is the remnant of that smoke. This picture represents a remnant of that smoke of the origin. A new star is this is a new star is forming out of the cloud of gas and dust, which is called nebula, which was one of the remnants of the smoke. That was the origin of the whole universe. We can find this in the what? In a book. It's called Space Atlas by Heather and Hambers, page 50. Okay. Now, I am going to give you a witness from the scientist. these scientists, some verses of the Quran, such as I presented to you, were addressed to them in order to give what? To give an opinion about them. One of them is Alfred Kroner. He's a professor of Department of Geosciences, University of Mainz, Germany. He attended some conferences in Saudi Arabia and in Egypt, okay? And he had the chance to give his comment about the verses related to the origin of the universe, the structure of the universe. And when he was presented, these verses, he gave this comment. He said, thinking where Muhammad came from, think it is almost impossible that he could have known about things like the common origin of the universe, because scientists have only found out within the last few years with very complicated and advanced technological methods that this is the case. He continued, somebody who did not know something about nuclear physics 1400 years ago could not, I think, be in a position to find out from his own mind, for instance, that the earth and the heavens had the same origin, or many others of the question that we have discussed here. If you combine all these and you combine all these statements that are being made in the Quran in terms that relate to the earth and the formation of the earth and science in general, you can basically say that that statements made there in many ways are true. They can now be confirmed by scientific methods. And in a way, you can say that the Quran is a simple science text, a science textbook for the simple man, and that many of the statements made in there at that time could not be proven, but that modern scientific methods are now in a position to prove that Muhammad said 1400 years ago. This is the comment of a great scientist from Germany. Okay, move to another verse related to the Quran on universe. The universe is expanding. The Quran tells us that the universe is what? Is expanding. Allah said in the Holy Quran, وَالسَّمَاءَ بَنَيْنَاهَا بِأَيْدٍ وَإِنَّا لَمُوسِعُونَ. With power, the corresponding meaning of this verse, with power did we construct the heaven. Verily, we are able to extend the vastness of space thereof. This is in the Quran, chapter 51, verse number 47. So this verse indicates that the universe is expanding, So the Quran tells us that the universe is expanding. Okay. What does the science tell us about that? The modern cosmology and the expansion of the universe. It is thought that the universe has been expanding since the Big Bang to a maximum dimension. And this figure tells us about the complete story of the universe according to science. It starts with the Big Bang, which is the beginning of time, okay? And then it started to what? To expand. Nowadays is expanding, going bigger and bigger and bigger to a maximum size, a maximum expansion, okay? To a maximum expansion. And then according to science, it then shrinks until it comes to the what? To the big crunch, which is the end of time. Okay. And then they said, okay, a new world a new universe will start again. But we don't say that a new, a new universe will start. But according to Muslims, that this is the life, and we have another life after death. It's called the hereafter, in which we have the paradise and we have the hell fire. Okay, so this is the new universe, the new life in the hereafter, after this life. So this this picture is coming from a book called Gravitation by Freeman and Francisco in 1973, page 1196. Okay, so there is an American astronomer. His name is Fisto Sliver. He noticed in 1912 that the spectral lines from the rest of the galaxies were shifted toward longer wavelengths. This showed that most galaxies were receding from ours, which is the Milky Way, at several hundred kilometers per second, indicating that the universe is expanding. So this is a clear statement, or a clear finding in 1912 from the scientists that the universe is expanding. Why? Because they discovered the distances between galaxies, between stars, are becoming bigger and bigger, okay, wider and wider, okay. It's as he said here, several hundred kilometers per second. So it is expanding. It is expanding. So as the Quran stated. Another evidence from science, it is the red shift law, which is Hubble's law, that was found by American astronomer. His name is Edwin Powell Hubble in 1929, who explained that the universe is steadily expanding. Okay, now move to another aspect. The universe will vanish. Allah the Almighty said about this universe, it will come to an end. It will not continue. As the big crunch stated. Allah the Almighty said, يوم نطوي السماء كطي السجل للكتب كما بدأنا أول خلق نعيده وعدا علينا إنا كنا فاعلين. This verse from the Quran, the corresponding meaning of this verse is this. And remember, the day when we shall roll up the heavens like a scroll rolled up for books. As we began the first creation, we shall repeat it. It is a promise binding upon us. Truly, we shall do it. This is from the Quran chapter 21, verse number 104. Okay, so this verse tells us that the universe will come to an end. This is the Quran. And about science, as I told you, the big crunch, that the world will come to a maximum expansion, and then it will recontract to the state of beginning, as I showed you in that figure. Okay, so another witness from science. His name is Yoshidi Kosan, is the director of Tokyo Observatory, Tokyo, Japan. He was presented with a number of Quranic verses describing the origin of the universe. And he was asked to give his comment about these verses. He said, I say, I am very much impressed by finding true astronomical facts in Quran. And for us, modern astronomers have been studying very small piece of the universe. We have concentrated our efforts for understanding of a very small part, because by using telescopes, we can see only very few parts of the sky without thinking about the whole universe. So by reading the Quran, here is the point, the main point. So by reading Quran and by answering to the questions, I think I can find my future way for investigation of the universe. What does that mean? It means that he will use the verses of the Quran to help him exploring the universe. Okay. So now let us move to another aspect related to the scientific miracles in the Quran. It talks about the perfect structure of the universe. There are many verses, many verses talking about the structure of the universe. Okay. For example, Allah said, أفلم ينظروا إلى السماء فوقهم كيف بنيناها وزيناها وما لها من فروج وما لها من فروج. The corresponding meaning is this: have they not looked at the heaven above them, how we structured it and adorned it, and how it has no rifts, wall structure, no rifts, no problem at all. Another verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah the Almighty said, الذي خلق سبع سماوات طباقا ما ترى في خلق الرحمن من تفاوت فارجع البصر هل ترى من فطور ثم ارجع البصر كرتين ينقلب إليك البصر خاسئا وهو حسير. Allah, the corresponding meaning of this verse is this: He who created 7 heavens in layers, you do not see in the creation of the most merciful any inconsistency. So return your vision to the sky. Do you see any breaks? Then return your vision twice again. Your vision will return to you humbled while it is fatigued. This is from the Quran, chapter 67, verse 3 to 4. Another verse, it is this. Allah the Almighty said in the Holy Quran, لَلشَّمْسُ يَنْبَغِي لَهَا أَن تُدْرِكَ الْقَمَرَ وَلَا اللَّيْلُ سَابِقُ النَّهَارِ وَكُلٌّ فِي فَلَكٍ يَسْبَحُونَ. The corresponding meaning of this verse: it is not allowable for the sun to reach the moon, nor does the night overtake the day, but each in an orbit is swimming. This is from the Quran, chapter 36, verse number 40. So another verse, Allah the Almighty said, إن الله يمسك السماوات والأرض أن تزولا ولئن زالتا إن أمسكهما من أحد من بعده إنه كان حليما غفورا. The corresponding meaning of this verse is, indeed, Allah holds the heavens and earth, lest they cease. And if they should cease, no one could hold them in place after him. Indeed, he is forbearing and forgiving. This is from the Quran, chapter 35, verse number 41. These verses, all these verses, what? Confirm the perfect structure of the universe and the movement of all celestial bodies in their orbits. In what? Are all of them under control? They are under control. Perfect structure and celestial movement in control. This is what the Quran told us about that. Now, let us go to the science. What does the science say about this aspect? It deals with the balance of the universe through what's called the 4 forces. The 4 forces. What are the 4 forces in the universe? There are 4 forces in the universe. As the modern physics tells us about the concept of fine-tuning. Fine-tuning. What does the fine-tuning tell us? The fine-tuning state clearly that the interaction and equilibrium between these forces, which they are the forces are gravity, electromagnetic force, strong nuclear force, and weak nuclear force. These forces, they stabilize the movement of the whole universe so that no corruption at all. Who made these four forces? Allah, God, the Creator. So he is the one who established these forces in order to what? In order to stabilize the movement of the universe. So no corruption at all in the universe. And the universe has been running billions and billions of years without any corruption. Who hold them? Allah, the Creator, who created them. So now I'm going to talk about the celestial bodies movement. I mean, it's amazing, really amazing how the universe run. Okay. Now we know that there are billions of galaxies with stars, and they move in their paths, orbits, in a precise manner, in a perfect balance, no collision, no problem at all. This table gives you an idea about the speed of these celestial bodies in the universe, in the space, comparing to what? To the bullet speed per kilometer per hour. Let's see here. Here we have the celestial body speed and the celestial body, and this is the body speed, kilometer per hour, and this is the bullet speed, kilometer per hour. Okay, the movement of the Earth around itself. The movement of Earth around itself. What does that mean? It means that day and night. You find day and night because of the what? Of the movement of Earth around itself. Its speed, the speed of the Earth around itself is 1,670 kilometers per hour. Compared to what? To the bullet speed, kilometer per hour, 1,800 kilometer per hour. See how the Earth is moving around itself in this huge speed. Yet you don't feel it. You just see day and night, but you don't feel it. Huge speed. Another thing, the Earth around the sun. The speed of the Earth around the sun is 108,000 kilometers per hour. Oh, come on. Compared to the bullet speed, the bullet speed is just only 1,800 kilometers per hour. Huge speed, yet no corruption at all, no collisions at all. Another thing, the solar system around the galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy, it's 720,000 kilometers per hour. Huge speed. It's beyond our imagination. Beyond our imagination, okay? And the Milky Way through space, our Milky Way galaxy. Oh, come on, 950,000 kilometers per hour. These millions of galaxies, millions of stars moving in their orbits, and they cross each other, and then the orbits cross each other, yet no collisions at all. Hold them. Hold them. It is the one who created them. The one who created. Okay. So another aspect in the Quran, difference between the sun and the moon. In the Quran even describe the structure of the sun and the structure of the moon. What Allah said in the Holy Quran, أَلَمْ تَرَى كَيْفَ خَلَقَ اللَّهُ سَبْعَ سَمَاوَاتٍ طِبَاقًا وَجَعَلَ الْقَمَرَ فِيهِنَّ نُورًا وَجَعَلَ الشَّمْسَ سِرَاجًا. This is from the Quran. The corresponding meaning is this. Do you not consider how Allah has created 7 heavens in layers and made the moon therein a reflected light and made the sun a burning lamp? This is the Quran, chapter 71, verse 15 to 16. Now, I would like just to describe to you the meaning of 2 words in Arabic. Al-Qamar, the moon. The moon is what? Is Noor. Noor, this is an Arabic word, Noor. What does Noor mean in Arabic? Or in English? I don't know. Yes, it reflected light. Just reflect what? Reflect light. This is the meaning of Noor. Reflect what? Reflected light. And what does Siraj? What does Siraj mean in English? Siraj mean burning lamp. Burning lamp. You know the lamp. It emits what? Heat. It emits light. And it goes. The light goes from this burning lamp. So the sun is a burning lamp. And you know, sun is the source of what? The source of light, the source of heat. And it goes to the moon, and the light of the sun is being reflected by the moon. So the moon gives us nur, gives us what? Reflected light. This is what the Quran explained, that the sun is a burning lamp and the moon is what? Is a reflected light. Oh, okay. Now, move to science. What does science mean? I mean, I think nowadays, even those who in elementary schools know about this fact, that the sun emits, I mean, the light coming from the sun, it is from itself, not from another source. And the moon is what? Is the moon reflects the what? The sun's light. This is it's by astronomers who discovered the source of light coming from the sun. From the sun is the burning taking place in the sun, while the source of light coming from the moon is the reflection of the sun's light, because the moon does not emit its own light. Okay, now another witness from scientist. His name is Professor Tom Armstrong. Professor Armstrong works for NASA, and he's also a professor of astronomy, University of Kansas, in Kansas, USA. Professor Armstrong was asked about these firsts related to the universe, okay? And he was asked to give comments about these verses from the Quran. And he said, that is a difficult question, which I have been thinking about since our discussion here. I am impressed at how remarkably some of the ancient writings seem to correspond to modern and recent astronomy. Talking about the verses of the Quran, okay? I am not a sufficient scholar of human history to project myself completely and reliably into the circumstances that 1400 years ago would have prevailed. Certainly, I would like to leave it at that what we have seen is remarkable. I mean, the verses of God that were presented to him, remarkable. It may or may not admit of scientific explanation. There may well have to be something beyond what we understand as ordinary human experience to account for the writing that we have seen. So he was wondering about the facts presented to him from the Quran. Another aspect in the Quran, it is the protected ceiling related to the universe. Allah said in the Holy Quran, وَجَعَلْنَا السَّمَاءَ سَقْفًا مَحْفُوظًا وَهُمْ عَنْ آيَاتِهَا مُعْرِضُونَ. وَهُمْ عَنْ آيَاتِهَا مُعْرِضُونَ. Corresponding meaning of this verse, and we made the sky a protected ceiling, but they, from its signs, are turning away This is from the Quran, chapter 21, verse 32. Another verse, it's Allah said in the Holy Quran, الذي جعل لكم الأرض فراشا والسماء بناء. The corresponding meaning of this verse is, he who made for you the earth a bed spread out and the sky a ceiling. The Quran, chapter 2, verse 22. And he also said, Allah the Almighty said, ويمسك السماء أن تقع على الأرض إلا بإذنه إن الله بالناس لرؤوف رحيم. The corresponding meaning of this verse, and he restrained the sky from falling upon the earth unless by his permission. Indeed, Allah to the people is kind and merciful. This is from chapter 22, verse 65. Now, come to the science about these verses. That's talking about what? About the protection of the ceiling. Okay. The modern science talks about what? About the atmosphere layers. You know, there are different layers, as it's shown in this figure. Different layers that protect what? Protect the earth, the beings on earth. What do these atmosphere layers do? First of all, these layers, atmosphere layer, destroy meters that falling from the sky and prevents them from falling to earth. Once they reach these atmosphere layers, they are destroyed. They are destroyed. They don't reach that. So people, animals, whatever, live in this planet without any problem. Also, these atmosphere layers filters harmful radiation. You know, there are many harmful radiation. If they reached Earth, okay, a lot of problems would occur in this planet. Like the ultraviolet radiation, X-ray radiation, they are filtered by different atmosphere layers. Okay. Not only this, not only they protect this planet from any radiation rays from meters, but at the same time they allow useful rays to go down and reach the earth that are benefitable. They are useful for all beings in this planet. And also, you know, the space is very cold. It reached minus maybe 270 Celsius degrees. So these, okay, these atmosphere layers prevent the terrestrial radiation to escape into space. So they stay around Earth in order to keep Earth warm. There is a belt, it's called Van Allen belt, which is in the magnetosphere layer. This is the picture of this layer. It's called Van Allen belt. Okay, these belts protect the land, protect Earth from any harmful radiation, meters, whatever. Now, the atmospheric pressure. The Quran talks about the atmospheric pressure. Clearly, Allah said in the Holy Quran, فَمَنْ يُرِدِ اللَّهَ أَنْ يَهْدِيَهُ يَشْرَحْ صَدْرَهُ لِلْإِسْلَامِ وَمَنْ يُرِدْ أَنْ يُضِلَّهُ يَجْعَلْ صَدْرَهُ ضَيِّقًا حَرَجًا كَأَنَّمَا يَصَّعَّدُ فِي السَّمَاءِ كَذَلِكَ يَجْعَلُ اللَّهُ الرِّجْسَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. So the corresponding meaning of this verse is, so whoever Allah wants to guide, He expand His priest to contain Islam, and whoever He wants to misguide, He makes His priest tight constructed as though he were climbing into the sky. Okay, thus does Allah place development upon those who do not believe. This is from the Quran, chapter 6, verse number 125. I would like to draw your attention to the word here. As though he were climbing into the sky. What does that mean? It means that once a human being ascended towards the heaven, his priest becomes what? Constructed, tied. Why? Because of the reduction in the pressure. Once, the more you go up and up and up, the more the reduction in the what? In the atmospheric pressure. So it makes the priest constricted, tied, so that anyone cannot breathe easily, and blood can burst from his body. Okay, so this is the verse. Now come to the science. The atmospheric pressure. As you know, the atmospheric pressure decreases with elevation above the Earth's surface, as I described to you. Human body cannot tolerate this reduction. I mean, anyone can die, or can die easily once he climbs up and up and up. Therefore, spaceships, they are well equipped with what? With instruments to make the adjustment for what? For the reduction in the pressure. And also the astronomers who went to space, they wear special clothes in order to what? To meet the what? The reduction in the pressure. Okay. Now, exploring the space. Allah asks us to contemplate and ask us to discover the space. Allah the Almighty said in the Holy Quran, يا معشر الجن والإنس إن استطعتم أن تنفذوا من أقطار السماوات والأرض فانفذوا لا تنفذون إلا بسلطان. What does that mean? The corresponding meaning of this verse, O company of jinn and mankind, if you are able to pass beyond the regions of the heavens and the earth, then pass. You will not pass except by the authority from Allah. What is the authority from Allah? Knowledge. Knowledge. You have to have knowledge. So Allah asks us to explore what? To explore the heavens. So at the time of the Prophet Muhammad, no one imagined that someone will go to the moon or discover the space. Okay. So you know, indeed, the first man landed on the moon in the beginning of this of the last century, the 20th century. Okay, now I would like to come to the last verse in the Quran in my lecture tonight. The perfect structure, the balance and protection in the universe is clear sign of what? Of the oneness of the Creator. Perfect structure, balance, protection, everything is going well in the universe. Who made this possible? The one who created them. Therefore, Allah said in the Holy Quran, لو كان فيهما آلهة إلا الله لفسدتا فسبحان الله رب العرش عما يصفون. Had the corresponding meaning of this verse is, had there been within the heavens and earth gods besides Allah, meaning God, they both would have been ruined. So exalted is Allah, Lord of the throne, above what they describe. This is, from the Quran, chapter 22, okay, verse 20, chapter Al-Anbiya, it's called chapter Al-Anbiya, and verse 22. Okay. Final conclusions. what can we get from our lecture this night? The first conclusion is this: Allah is the creator of the universe. He is one. He is one. You know, if there are two managers in any department, what would happen? If there were two managers for a department, what would happen? They would fight each other. They would fight each other. Similarly, if there were more than one God, they would fight each other. And corruption would take place in this universe. But billions of years have passed without any corruption. This is the best sign that the Creator is one. The Creator is Allah, is God, who holds the universe, And this is the first what? The first conclusion. The second conclusion is that the Quran is the word of Allah. How? Presenting to you these verses, and also I will present other verses related to other aspects in this universe, talking about scientific facts 14 centuries ago is a good sign that the Quran is the word of Allah. The Quran is the word of God. And the last conclusion for me is this: a man, his name is Muhammad, lived 14 centuries ago in Mecca, in the desert. He was illiterate, could not write, could not read. At that time, there were no modern technology, no institutes to teach these technologies, no universities, no sophisticated instruments to explore, to discover the secrets in the universe. Do you think a man 14 centuries ago, a normal man, could bring this from his own mind? No, at all. So, what is the conclusion that we should reach? Is the Quran that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, brought to us is coming from the Lord of all the universe, who knows every single details in this universe. Thank you for your attention. And my next lecture is going to be the Quran on the seas. And I leave to any question that you can ask. Thank you very much.
Would you like to keep the recording off for the questions, or we can end?
Well, I mean, you can add, no problem.
Then if a question asks, then you can rephrase the question.
Yes,
So
yes, no problem. We keep the recording. So.
We went through all astronomy aspect. But I'm a mechanical engineer, and from thermodynamics aspect, the first law of thermodynamics say energy cannot be created nor destroyed. This means you can convert energy from one point to another point. But this time, there is a constant energy source that we cannot create it. And there is a verse in the Psalter, Allah knows Allah to Allah. This means that what we do, I said, is energy source. The Quran says Allah is the energy source of the universe.
Can you say that again?
Allah is the energy source of the universe.
Okay, yes.
This is the first of thermodynamics. We cannot create and we can destroy.
So,
Also, to understand a lot of rules and what is the light and the heavens and earth. There's also the spiritual meaning.
well, yes. I mean, you are talking about this Allah Nur Samawat wal. Yes, it is metaphoric. It means that Allah is Nur. Allah is Nur. So with his Nur, he can guide people. Okay. So the essence of Allah for us cannot be digested in our mind. It's only according to what is in the Quran and the authentic Sunnah. It describes, because Allah has sophisticated names and has sublime attributes. And he is the one who established those sophisticated names and attributes in the Quran and the authentic Sunnah. So we cannot explore the essence of Allah. It is only according to what is brought to us through the Quran and through the Sunnah. So he is, one of his attributes is an-nur. Okay, so did I explain, or you would like to? I mean, to ask another thing that you did not get the right answer from me.
What's the question?
Yeah, no explanation, but yes, yes, yes.
What does alif lam mean?
Yes, many chapters in the Quran started with letters. Alif lam mim, alif lam ra, alif ta ha, kaf ha ya ayn sad. Start with what? Start with these letters. But we don't know the meaning of these letters. We just leave them there because we don't have any information either from the Quran or from the statements of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, about these letters. So we just believe in them. There are some people who presented some numerical miracles. Okay, that these letters have certain numbers, and when you calculate this number, they mean this meaning or something like that. But just only it is a try from these people. However, we leave them. As long as we don't have any information from the Quran and from the Sunnah, we leave them there. We just believe in them because we are, as believers, Muslims are believers, we believe in the unseen. The unseen. The unseen is either we are told by Allah or by the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, or not. If we are told, okay, we talk about them. If we are not, we leave them there. We believe in them, and that's it. Yes. Another question. Oh, yeah, I mean, you can give a comment, not only question. Comment. It seems to me that you fully understand what I presented to you, or what?
Or what the different understanding of different tafsir that we get.
Excuse me, can you raise your voice?
Different explanations of the meaning of the God. The Salaf and the past, they understood it differently. And now we understand it differently. So
You mean the differences between the different opinions in the Salaf and nowadays?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yes, actually, the Quran is for all times and for all cultures and for all people from the time of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, until the day of judgment. Therefore, companions, Salaf, at their time, understood the Quran according to their understanding. So the Quran fits their thinking, fits their culture. Similarly, nowadays, when we come to new world, I mean, recent, I mean, the world that we live in with science, with technologies, similarly, people think according to the Quran. Okay, so they give opinions according to what's going on in this time. Okay, so the Quran is for all times, and in the future, the Quran is still full of new things that have not been discovered yet. Okay, but the people after us in the future will find another way to explain a lot of verses in the Quran, because the Quran is for all times, for all people, regardless of times, regardless of cultures, regardless of races, regardless whatever. So it's the everlasting holy book for humanity, and it fits every single time and every single culture. Another question, a comment.
Comment in
Okay, yes.
In Quran, chapter 16, verse 8, Allah is talking about the means of transportation that He creates. والخيل والبغال والحمير لتركبونها وزينة ويخلق ما لا تعلمون. So He also created horses, mules, and donkeys for your transportation and adornment, and He creates what you do not know. Meaning, He's saying in this ayah, in this verse, that He will create what the people at that time did not know. Like we see other means of transportation today, like cars and planes, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, the Quran is valid and meaningful for all of us in all of our situations until the end of time.
Yes, all right.
One can discover meaning.
Yes. وَيَخْلُقُ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. And he creates whatever you know not. When? In the future. So, I mean, the verse is talking about donkeys, horses, and also the Quran talks about ships and seas, okay? And also the Quran talks about other means to be what? To be, created or manufactured in what? In the future. This is why as I told you that the Quran fits all times. Fits all times. Yes.
Sir, do we have verified total number of ayat in the Quran?
Well, yes, the total numbers of I don't know exactly the total number, but there are 114 chapters, okay, and there are big chapters and small chapters, and there are 30 parts in the whole Quran, 30 parts, 30, okay. But the number of the verses in the Quran, if I am not sure, it's about, I think 6,000, 6,000, how?
600, 6,000.
6,000, yes, 6,200,
200.
yes, yes. That's, yes, the total verses in the Quran, yes. And you know, I mean, there is something, I mean, fantastic about the Quran. Since you mentioned the number of the verses in the Quran. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, told us about the reward of reciting the Quran. The reward is great. He said, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, لا أقول ألف لام ميم حرف ولكن ألف حرف ولام حرف وميم حرف. I don't say ألف لام ميم is حرف, but ألف, the first letter, is what? Is a letter. And lam is another letter. And mim is another letter. And every letter you recite, you get one reward. And that reward is multiplied by 10. So how many rewards you get when you recite Alif Lam Mim? 30. Yes, 30. Okay. We are talking about 3 letters. What about the whole Quran? How many rewards you get? But a lot of rewards. Therefore, this encourages us to recite the Quran. To get what? To get a lot of rewards. Okay? Therefore, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, encouraged us to have, I mean, word, what you call in Arabic word, is, I mean, certain pages in the Quran, certain verses in the Quran to be recited every day, so that you don't leave the Quran away from you. And at the same time, you get the big reward. Okay? So, on the day of judgment, the one who memorizes the Quran, Allah will ask him, recite. You man, I mean, that's really amazing. That the Lord of the universe asks his servant on the day of judgment who memorized the Quran to recite the Quran. I mean, it's a special value for that person. And Allah will ask him, recite. And he will recite. And recite. And he will recite. And Allah will say to his servant, okay, go up and up and up in paradise until the last verse you recite. So the more he recites, the more he goes up and up in the higher levels in paradise. It's a great reward. Those who memorize the Quran and recite the Quran regularly. Yeah. Okay.
The way that the Quran was given to or the prophets so I find it, I want to know more about this, if there are any resources or things like that. But we know that Jibril and he used to say that maybe with some verse, and this verse would fit in which surah in those. So is the numbering of the surahs, the chapters, is it also from Jibril message, or is it done in Islam?
It is, yes. It is from according to Jibril. Of course, as I told you, the Quran was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, during 23 years of prophethood. 13 years in Mecca and 10 years in Al-Madinah after he immigrated to Al-Madinah. So, the Quran was revealed to him to deal with different aspects. But the sequence of chapters is not related to, the sickness of the revelation coming to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Yes, so once the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, receives any verses, Gabriel will ask him, put this verse or these verses in chapter such, in the place of such. So it's according to Jibril, and Jibril was just a messenger. It is an order from Allah to place those verses in different chapters. Therefore, in the Quran, you say this chapter is Makki. It means that it was revealed in Mecca. This chapter is Madani. It means that it was revealed in Al-Madinah. But some chapters, some verses in Al-Mecca and some other verses in what? In Al-Madinah. You find them in the same chapter. Some of them revealed in Mecca and some of them were revealed in Al-Madinah. So this is the way of, placing the different verses in the Quran. It's not according to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. It's according to Jibril, and he according to what? To his Lord. Okay. But what Uthman did, Uthman collected the rules of the Quran, because the Quran was written in rules. You know, at that time there were no printing of time. It was written in what? In scrolls. In scrolls. Skins of animals or whatever. Okay. And these scrolls were kept at the beginning with Abu Bakr, and then with Umar, and then with what? With Uthman. And then because the Islamic State expanded and non-Arabs came to Islam, became Muslim, so non-Arabs started to pronounce the verses of the Quran incorrectly. So Uthman's, the companions came to Uthman. He was the third caliph. Oh, Uthman, collect the Quran. Collect the Quran in one volume. People might, make a lot of mistakes because non-Arabs are coming to Islam, and they recite Quran not in a good manner or in a good way. So the Uthman assigned certain companions who memorized the Holy Quran in hearts in order to collect those rolls and put them in what? In one volume. So, okay. And then he made different copies and sent them to different regions in the Islamic State. This is the way of what? Placing the different verses in the Quran, and the way the Quran was collected in one volume.
What are your thoughts on some of the other ancient texts that would kind of refer to some of these ideas about the universe?
Oh, yeah. It is a good question. As Muslims, as believers, we believe in the Torah. We believe in the Gospel, which is called Injil. We believe in the Zabur, which is called Psalms. So the Torah of Moses, the Injil or the Gospel of Jesus, and the Psalms of David, and also the scrolls of Abraham. We believe in them. All of them. We believe in them. Why? Because they are scriptures from Allah. We believe them as they were revealed to these prophets and messengers, peace be upon them. However, Allah sent messenger after messenger, and then after messenger with different scriptures. Okay. And Allah asked the people of scriptures to hold fast to the scriptures and don't, do any bad things to them. But unfortunately, these scriptures had some things inserted into them, changes. Therefore, Allah sealed the scriptures with the Quran in order to be the everlasting scripture from the time of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, until the day of judgment. Therefore, when you recite the Quran, you recite the Quran about things in the all the scriptures, in the Torah, in the Injil, in the Psalms, talking about these verses on them. But nowadays, we cannot for sure tell that the verses or the statements in all the scriptures are the literal words of Allah, of God. Why? Because we don't have the original manuscripts of those scriptures. If you study the Bible have been what you call debated and made some corrections many times. So you find different manuscripts. And if you ask them, give us the original copy of the original manuscript of the Bible. Of course, the Bible contains the Old Testament and the New Testament, okay? From the Torah and other books related to the other messengers, also the Gospel and the Old Testament and the New Testament. Okay, so the Quran came in order to be a witness for those scriptures. Why? Because the Quran was preserved intact. There is no change at all in the Quran. You know, the original copy after collecting the Quran in one volume is still in a museum in Turkey. It's called the copy of Uthman, the third Caliph. Okay, and it's still the blood, his blood, because corrupt people came to him while he was reciting the Quran, and then they killed him. And some of drops of his blood on the page of that original copy, it's still there. It's still there. So the Quran is well preserved. It's intact. No changes at all. And furthermore, it is the word of Allah. It's not the translation. Now, search in the Bible. Search for the Bible. You will find that the Bible was translated to Greek language. But the original copy, the original writing, was in what? Either in Hebrew or what? Or in Aramaic. In Hebrew or in Arabic. In Aramaic or Aramaic. Yes. Thanks.
The Old Testament.
The Old Testament. Yes. So the Old Testament was written in what? Was written in Hebrew. And the New Testament was written either in Hebrew or what? Or in Arabic. Correct? Aramaic?
The language
Yes.
of Jesus.
Yes, these two languages, Hebrew and Aramaic, were the languages of what? Of Jesus, peace be upon him. Okay. But if you ask them, what is the original manuscript that was written in Hebrew and of the Gospel, or Hebrew, or the Torah, or the Old Testament, or the New Testament? Say, no, we had the translation. It was translated first to Greek, okay? And from Greek into Latin, and from Latin to other languages, English, French, whatever. But if you ask them, where is the original manuscript of the Old Testament and the New Testament? They say, no, we don't have it. We have what? We have the translation. That's it. And the translation cannot be the words of Allah. So the original Torah, the original Gospel, the original Psalms, were revelations from Allah, from God. But unfortunately, they don't exist in their original manuscript. This is why the Quran is a witness. The Quran is a witness of in these different scriptures. You see, but I mean, your question is about science in these old scriptures. There is a book written by Maurice Bockel. This he is a French surgeon, a doctor.
So Egyptologist.
Huh?
Egyptologist. He also studied ancient.
Yes. So this surgeon was assigned to receive the mummy of Pharaoh in order to make some correction to the mummy of Pharaoh. So the mummy of Pharaoh was transferred from Egypt to where? To France. Okay. And Maurice Bockel was assigned to be the head of that team in order to make these corrections to the mummies. And after long study of this mummy, Maurice Bockel and his team found the death cause of Pharaoh, how he died. And he said, this mummy Pharaoh must die in the sea. Why? How did you find that? He said, we found the remnant of salt of seas in his body. So this guy must die in the sea. And it's really, you know, in the Quran, the story of Pharaoh is well explained, well stated there, that he made a lot of bad things to the children of Israel. Okay. And then with Moses, and then Allah asked Moses and his followers to cross the Red Sea in order to escape Pharaoh and his soldiers. And Allah asked him to hit the sea with his stick, and the sea was split to 12 routes for the different tribes of the children of Israel. So they passed. And Pharaoh chased them, and he entered the sea while the sea was dry. So there were roads in the sea. It's a miracle by Allah, okay, from Allah. And then Allah asked the sea to come back to its situation. So they were drowned. Pharaoh died in the sea. And that was for Maurice Bockel a big discovery. An Egyptian was with them, said, this is not new. This is mentioned in the book of Muslims. It's mentioned in the Quran. It's not new. You did not come on a new discovery. Said, no way. Said, yes. And they presented to him the verses talking about Pharaoh and his death. And then what he did, he traveled to Egypt directly in order to, search. Then he found the truth, and he believed in the Quran. He became a Muslim believer, and he wrote a book. This is the point that I would like to reach. He wrote a book, great book. It's called The Bible, the Quran, and Modern Science. And what he found, you can search in the net. You can search in the net, the Bible, the Quran, and Modern Science, written by Maurice Bockel. So, okay, you will get it. And what he found, and what he stated, what he found from long search, he found that the scientific facts mentioned in the Quran go in harmony with the recent findings of science. However, when he examined the verses in the old scriptures, he could not find that. And it is there. You can read it. Yeah.
Include this book title. Probably can't include the book in the feedback. We want copyright. But it's probably available somewhere in our library. I can include the book title in the feedback.
Yes.
Another thing I was thinking about is that we can probably also do another seminar series on this, which is the historical miracles. There are like many recent studies on Pharaoh and Egyptology and study of ancient Egypt. There were two main prophets who lived around the time: Prophet Yusuf, which is Prophet Joseph, and Prophet Musa, which is Prophet Moses. And in different times, people have come up with because Joseph, Egyptologists estimated to have lived in the old kingdom period of Egypt, which is like before the new kingdom period. And then Moses lived in the new kingdom period. And these periods are like thousands of years apart. And if you look up the encyclopedia, the ruler of Egypt at the time of Joseph is called the king. The word Pharaoh at that time refers to the palace that the ruler lives in. And then later on, when it comes to the time of Moses, the ruler of Egypt is called the Pharaoh. And then if you know about the Quran, the chapter 12 is the chapter of Joseph. His name is Yusuf Joseph. And all the time, when it mentions the ruler of Egypt at the time of Joseph, it uses the word either al-Aziz or al-Malik. The ruler is called the king of Egypt. The word Pharaoh is never used. And at the mentions of Moses, which Moses is the most mentioned prophet historian in the Quran, you find the ruler of Egypt to be named Pharaoh, like Pharaoh. And this is not found in the previous scriptures, at least what we have now of the previous scriptures. If you look at, for example, New Testament, you'll find that the Moses and Joseph, at both times, the ruler of Egypt is called Pharaoh. And so just a small example, but we can probably expand this into another set of series, like on the historical. There are like many modern discoveries about ancient Egypt, about ancient Babylon, time of Abraham, peace be upon him.
Yes. Also, you can find the histories of these prophets and messengers in the Quran.
Yeah.
I mean, there are 25 prophets and messengers mentioned in the Quran. Okay, starting from Noah, and to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon all of them. So as Muslims, we believe on all of them. Of course, these are the mentioned in the Quran, but there are other are not mentioned in the Quran. We just believe that there were a lot of prophets and messengers that were sent to their nations, but we have only 25 prophets and messengers mentioned in the Quran. And as Muslims, as believers, we have to believe in them, we have to love them, and we have to ask Allah to bring us with them in paradise. Okay, so it's one pillar of the pillars of faith, because the pillars of faith in Islam is to believe in Allah, which means God, to believe in angels, to believe in holy books, to believe in the messengers, to believe in what? To believe in the hereafter, I mean life after death, and to believe in qadar. Qadar is fate or predestination. Okay, so these are the 6 pillars of what? Of faith, of Iman. One of them is to believe in the messengers. So we have to believe in them. We have to believe in Noah, Abraham, Moses, Jesus, Solomon, David, all of those messengers mentioned in the Quran. We have to believe in them. Actually, as a matter of fact, anyone does not believe in any one of these messengers, he's out of Islam. He becomes a disbeliever, actually. So we love, as we love Muhammad, peace be upon him, we love Jesus. We love Abraham, we love Moses, we love all the prophets and messengers. They are the beloved messengers and prophets. Okay, so they are mentioned in the Quran, especially Moses and Jesus. Moses is mentioned in the Quran in many chapters. Okay, also Jesus, peace be upon him, and his mother Mary, mentioned in the Quran with beautiful words. I mean, if you recite the chapter of Maryam, there is a whole chapter, big chapter in the Quran is called Maryam, meaning Mary, the mother of Jesus. It's a whole chapter about. See, when you recite that chapter, you start to shed tears. When you recite the verses about the story of Mary with her son Jesus, peace be upon him. Okay, so we have to believe in all of the prophets and messengers. Yes. Okay, thanks a lot for your patience and attention.